Marvel just announced that Thor's adopted daughter is missing, and Doctor Doom is behind it. That's a mark in. This isn't just about one kid. Every original Avenger now has a child, and based on what we're seeing in the new Avengers Doomsday trailer, Doom is hunting them all down. So today, I'm breaking down the entire trailer, explaining why Doom needs these superpowered kids, how this connects to Loki sitting at the center of the multiverse, and what this means for the biggest reveal that's coming in Secret Wars, Thor's prayer. The trailer opens in a forest. We're looking up at trees. Thor is praying to his dead father Odin, and immediately something feels wrong. Thor has short hair again, which in every Thor movie signals that he's going through absolute hell. When his hair is short, he's at his weakest. When it grows back, he regains his strength. It's like he's a Norse Samson. But here's what really matters. He's carrying Stormbreaker, the giant axe. And if you remember Thor Love and Thunder, his daughter Love was using that weapon at the end of the movie. She had Stormbreaker. Thor went back to using Mjolnir, his original hammer. So the fact that Thor has Stormbreaker back means something bad happened to Love. She's gone. Thor starts praying. He says he's answered the call of honor and duty his whole life, which is true. Thor spent centuries doing exactly what Odin wanted. He fought in every war, he conquered realm after realm. He believed in Asgard as this glorious empire. But then he says destiny offered him something he never hoped for. We see his daughter sleeping peacefully in bed. He calls her an offering, a life preserved from the storm. And this is crucial because love shouldn't even exist. At the end of Love and Thunder, Gorr the God Butcher reached eternity, which is literally the embodiment of the entire universe. Gorr could have wished for anything. He could have erased every god in existence. Instead, he wished for his daughter to come back to life. Thor promised to raise her. So Love is basically a miracle child, created by a cosmic being at the moment her father chose creation over destruction. Now Thor is kneeling in the woods with Stormbreaker, and we don't know exactly where this is. It could be the forest near New Asgard in Norway. Or maybe Thor is traveling through the multiverse, and he's in the actual forests of Asgard in another reality. Either way, he's begging Odin for strength. He wants to fight one more time to defeat a new enemy and get his daughter back. The Avengers theme plays softly on piano in the background. Thor finishes his prayer by saying he wants to return to Love, not as a warrior but as a protector, so she can know peace instead of war. For Thor, this is massive. His entire identity has been built on combat. He grew up hearing stories about Odin's conquests. He wanted to be just like his dad. He was always looking for the next fight, the next skull to crack open. When he tried to have a normal relationship with Jane Foster, it fell apart because he couldn't let go of being a warrior. But now he has an immortal daughter who he can actually protect and love without losing her to old age. Like he lost Jane, and someone just took her. That someone is Tony Stark. Or more specifically, the Tony Stark who became Doctor Doom, the Doom connection. Here's what we know so far. Avengers Doomsday is a direct sequel to Endgame. The Russo brothers confirmed that everything in this movie ties back to the snap. The Multiverse Saga has been showing us different universes where one small change creates a totally different timeline. In one universe, Peggy Carter becomes Captain America. In another, Doctor Strange becomes evil. And in this universe, Tony Stark's snap in Endgame backfired and turned him into Doctor Doom. Think about it. Tony has always believed he's the only person smart enough to save the world. In Age of Ultron, he tried to build a suit of armor around the entire planet without asking anyone's permission. He created Ultron, which nearly destroyed humanity. Captain America called him out for it, asking if Tony remembered how that worked out and whether he cared about people's freedoms. Tony didn't care. He thought he knew better than everyone else. Doctor Doom in the comics is exactly like this. He's not evil because he enjoys hurting people. He's evil because he genuinely believes he's the only person capable of saving the universe, and he'll do anything to make that happen. He'll steal cosmic powers, he'll murder innocents, he'll rewrite reality itself, and he'll convince himself it's all for the greater good. So imagine a universe where Tony Stark snapped his fingers in Endgame, but instead of dying, something went horribly wrong. Maybe the Infinity Stones corrupted him. Maybe he saw a future where incursions destroy every universe, and he decided the only solution was total control. Whatever happened, Tony Stark without Pepper Potts, without his friends, without any moral center, would absolutely become Doctor Doom. He'd build a suit of armor around the multiverse. And if that required sacrificing a few superpowered kids to steal their cosmic energy, he'd do it. He'd tell himself it's worth it to save trillions of lives. And that brings us back to Thor's daughter. Love isn't just powerful. She was literally created by eternity. She wields Stormbreaker like it's nothing. She has god-level abilities. And she's not the only Avenger kid with that kind of power. Steve Rogers has a kid kid now. Hulk has a son named Skaar who showed up in She-Hulk. Wanda Maximoff has twin boys, Billy and Tommy, who have reality warping abilities. All of these children are insanely powerful, and Doom needs that power. In the comics, Doom is always trying to steal cosmic energy. In the original Secret Wars from 1984, he stole the Beyonders' power. In the 2015 Secret Wars, he stole power from beings called the Beyonders and became God Emperor Doom. He literally ruled over a patchwork planet made from pieces of destroyed universes. He married Reed Richards' wife. He raised Reed's kids as his own. He was God. And in this movie, I'm willing to bet Doom kidnaps all the Avenger kids, drains their power, and uses it to take control of the multiverse. That's why Thor is praying to Odin. That's why he's desperate. Someone stole his daughter, and that someone is the twisted version of his old friend Tony Stark. But here's where it gets even crazier. Because Doom's plan might involve Loki. Loki's role, Tom Hiddleston is confirmed to return as Loki in Avengers Doomsday. And according to a very reliable leaker named Alex Perez, Loki is going to take on the role of the Beyonder in this story. If you're not familiar with the Beyonder, let me explain quickly. In the comics, the Beyonders are insanely powerful beings who created multiple universes as an experiment. Eventually, they got bored and decided to destroy all the universes using incursions, which are events where two universes collide and both get wiped out. Reed Richards explained it perfectly in Multiverse of Madness when he said an incursion happens when the boundary between two universes erodes and they smash into each other, destroying one or both entirely. Dr. Doom saw this happening, and instead of trying to stop it, he stole the Beyonders' power and created Battleworld, a planet made from fragments of dead universes. He became God Emperor Doom and ruled over everyone. But here's the thing, the Beyonders are way too weird and complicated to introduce in the movies. Marvel already has someone sitting at the center of the multiverse with godlike power, Loki. If you watched the Loki series, you know that after he escaped with the Tesseract in Endgame, he was captured by the Time Variance Authority, a group of time cops who were pruning alternate timelines. He eventually discovered that a Kang variant named He Who Remains had been controlling everything, destroying billions of timelines to prevent chaos. Loki decided he didn't want to rule by force like Kang did, so he took on the burden himself. He became the god of stories, sitting at the center of the multiverse, holding all the branching timelines together like a giant tree. He gave up everything to let the multiverse exist freely. It was an incredible character arc. He went from a selfish villain who wanted to conquer Earth to a selfless god who sacrificed his freedom to protect infinite realities. But there's one problem. Loki never got to reconcile with Thor. His brother has no idea what Loki did. Thor still thinks Loki is dead. He watched Thanos choke the life out of him on the Asgardian ship in Infinity War. So imagine this, Dr. Doom figures out that the key to controlling the multiverse isn't defeating the Avengers in combat. It's traveling to the Time Variance Authority and kicking Loki off his throne. Doom doesn't need to invent some convoluted plan to steal the Beyonder's power because the Beyonder doesn't exist in the MCU. He just needs to get to the TVA, which is totally possible because in the comics, Doom invents a time platform that lets him travel through time and space. We've already seen Reed Richards use one in Multiverse of Madness. We've seen multiple Kangs use them in the post-credit scene of Quantumania. The TVA's doors work exactly like time platforms. They just open portals to any point in time or space. So Doom could easily build a time platform, travel to the TVA, and confront Loki. Now imagine Loki sitting on his throne, holding the multiverse together, and suddenly Dr. Doom shows up. Doom attacks, steals Loki's power, and takes his place at the center of reality. Loki gets thrown back into the main MCU timeline, crashes down in front of Thor, and warns him that Doom is coming. This would mirror Bruce Banner's role in Infinity War when he hurtled to Earth and told everyone Thanos was on his way. Loki could be the herald of Doom's arrival, and this would also give Loki a chance to prove himself to Thor one final time. Thor always saw Loki as a villain, a trickster, someone who couldn't be trusted. But if Loki helps Thor rescue Love and stop Doom, he finally gets to show his brother that he changed. He became a hero. He sacrificed everything to protect the multiverse. That's a powerful ending to their story. And here's another reason I think this is happening. The Loki series was essentially the beginning of the Multiverse Saga. It introduced us to branching timelines. It introduced us to Kang. So it makes sense that the end of the Multiverse Saga would circle back to Loki. His story started this whole thing, and it should be there at the finish line. Plus, Kevin Feige has said that after Secret Wars, they're doing a soft reset of the MCU. If Doom steals Loki's power and takes control of the multiverse, he could rewrite reality itself. He could wipe out timelines, he could merge universes, he could create a new version of the MCU where everything is under his control. And maybe that's exactly what happens in Secret Wars. The Avengers failed to stop Doom in Doomsday, and Secret Wars is about them trying to overthrow God Emperor Doom and restore reality. But there's one more piece to this puzzle that could redeem one of Marvel's most disappointing movies, fixing Love and Thunder. Let's be honest, Thor Love and Thunder was a mess. It had incredible source material. The movie adapted Jason Aaron's God Butcher storyline, which is one of the best Thor comics ever written. Christian Bale's performance as Gorr was genuinely terrifying. The concept of Thor raising a superpowered adopted daughter was emotionally compelling, but the movie couldn't get out of its own way. Every serious moment was undercut by a joke. Every dramatic beat was interrupted by improv. Even Chris Hemsworth admitted he got too caught up in trying to be funny, and it threw off the entire tone. The movie wanted to be about grief and loss and finding meaning after tragedy, but it also wanted to have screaming goats and Thor stripping naked and Korg narrating everything like it's a sitcom. It didn't work, but Avengers Doomsday has a chance to fix this. Look at how Thor is portrayed in this trailer. He's not cracking jokes, he's not doing silly voices. He's kneeling in the dirt, praying to his dead father, begging for the strength to save his daughter. This is serious Thor. This is Infinity War Thor, the guy who lost everything and was willing to die to stop Thanos. This is the Thor we needed in Love and Thunder, because here's the thing about Thor as a character. He's funniest when he's trying to be serious, and the world around him is absurd. In Ragnarok, he's giving this dramatic speech about being the god of thunder, and Korg just casually undercuts him by saying it looked like sparkles. That's funny, because Thor is the straight man. In Endgame, he's depressed and overweight, and the Avengers are trying to be supportive, but he's so deep in his trauma that he can't even have a normal conversation. That's funny because it's tragic and awkward and real. But in Love and Thunder, nobody was the straight man. Everyone was trying to be funny at the same time, so nothing landed. Thor was joking. Korg was joking. Valkyrie was joking. Even Gorr, the guy whose entire family was murdered, had quippy moments. It was exhausting. So if Doomsday gives us a Thor who has a clear mission, a real enemy, and actual emotional stakes, it could redeem Love and Thunder retroactively. Because suddenly that movie becomes the setup for this one. Love was introduced as Thor's daughter. Her existence was a miracle created by a dying father's final wish. And now she's been kidnapped by a villain who wants to drain her cosmic power to save the multiverse. That's a real story with real stakes. That's something worth fighting for. And here's what I really hope happens. I hope Loki and Thor team up to stop Doom. I hope Loki gets to meet his niece. I hope Thor finally sees that his brother changed and became a hero. And I hope Thor gets one final amazing storyline before Chris Hemsworth leaves the role. Because let's be real, Hemsworth has been playing Thor for over a decade. He said he's open to returning, but only if the story is good. And after Love and Thunder, he deserves to go out on a high note. Taika Waititi isn't involved in Doomsday, which honestly might be a good thing. Waititi is a brilliant director, but he needs someone to rein him in, and Love and Thunder proved that when he has total creative control, he prioritizes jokes over story. The Russo brothers, who are directing Doomsday, know how to balance humor and drama. Winter Soldier is a tense political thriller. Civil War is an emotionally devastating story about broken friendships. Infinity War and Endgame have plenty of jokes, but they never undercut the serious moments. When Tony Stark dies, it's tragic. When Steve Rogers passes the shield to Sam, it's earned. The Russos understand that humor works best when it's surrounded by real stakes. So I'm optimistic that Thor will finally get the treatment he deserves in Doomsday. He'll be the warrior who will do anything to save his daughter. He'll team up with his brother to stop a villain who used to be his friend. And he'll prove that even after losing everything, he's still worthy the bigger picture. So let's zoom out and look at what all of this is building toward. Avengers Doomsday is going to introduce Dr. Doom as the multiverse's greatest threat. He's kidnapping superpowered kids to steal their cosmic energy. He's traveling to the TVA to steal Loki's power. He's trying to take control of the entire multiverse because he genuinely believes he's the only one who can save it from incursions, and the Avengers are going to try to stop him. But here's the thing, I don't think they're going to succeed. I think Doom wins. In the comics, Secret Wars happens because Doom successfully successfully steals the Beyonder's power and becomes God Emperor Doom. He rules over Battleworld, a patchwork planet made from the remains of destroyed universes. Heroes from different realities live under his rule, and most of them don't even remember that reality used to be different. Reed Richards eventually figures out what happened and leads a rebellion to overthrow Doom and restore the multiverse. I think the MCU is going to do something similar. Doomsday ends with Doom winning. He takes Loki's place at the center of the multiverse, he rewrites reality, and Secret Wars begins with the Avengers realizing they're living in a world that Doom created. This would also explain why Kevin Feige has talked about doing a soft reset after Secret Wars. If Doom rebuilds the multiverse, he could merge timelines, erase characters, and create a new version of the MCU that's easier to manage. Marvel could bring back beloved characters with new actors, they could reboot franchises that didn't work, they could clean up all the continuity issues from the Multiverse Saga. It's a genius move because it gives them a fresh start without completely erasing everything that came before. And here's where Thor comes in. If Thor's story in Doomsday is about protecting his daughter from Doom, then his story in Secret Wars could be about overthrowing Doom and restoring reality. Maybe in Doom's new world, love doesn't exist. Maybe Thor is the only one who remembers her because he's connected to Odin and the gods. Maybe he has to convince the other Avengers that their reality is fake and they need to fight back. That would be an incredible arc for Thor. He started as a selfish prince who wanted to conquer worlds. He became a humble hero who learned to protect people instead of ruling them. And he'd end as the warrior who literally fought to restore existence itself so his daughter could live. But there's one more thing I want to talk about. After Secret Wars, what happens to Thor? Chris Hemsworth has been playing this character since 2011. That's over a decade. He's done 4 solo movies and appeared in 5 Avengers films. At some point, he's going to want to move on. And honestly, I think Marvel should let him go out on a high note and then reboot Thor with a new actor. The Thor comics have decades of incredible stories that haven't been adapted yet. There's the Siege storyline where Norman Osborn attacks Asgard. There's the God Bomb arc where Thor fights Gorr across 3 different timelines. There's the War Thor storyline where Volstagg picks up the hammer of an evil god. There's so much potential for new Thor stories, but they're limited by the creative decisions that were made in past films. If Marvel does a soft reset after Secret Wars, they could restore Asgard, bring back characters like Sif and the Warriors 3, and start fresh with a younger actor who can carry the franchise for another decade. I love Chris Hemsworth. I think he's been incredible as Thor, but I also think it's okay to let characters evolve and pass the torch to someone new. And if Thor's final arc is about saving his daughter and overthrowing God Emperor Doom, that's a pretty damn good way to go out. Final thoughts. This trailer might only be a minute long, but it reveals so much about where the MCU is heading. Thor's daughter is missing. Doctor Doom is behind it. Loki is going to play a massive role in the story. And everything is building toward a conclusion where Doom takes control of the multiverse, and the Avengers have to stop him in Secret Wars. This is the kind of high-stakes storytelling that Marvel hasn't done since Endgame. The Multiverse Saga has been messy. Some projects have been great, others have been forgettable. But Doomsday and Secret Wars have the potential to pull everything together and deliver an ending that's just as satisfying as Infinity War and Endgame. And honestly, I'm excited to see Thor back in serious mode. No more jokes every 5 seconds. No more undercutting emotional moments with improv. Just a warrior fighting to save his daughter from a villain who used to be his friend. That's compelling. That's the kind of story that makes you care. If the Russos can balance the humor and drama the way they did in their previous Marvel films, this could be the best Thor story we've ever seen on screen. So keep your eyes on Loki, keep your eyes on the Avenger kids, and keep your eyes on Doctor Doom, because if he's kidnapping superpowered children to steal their cosmic energy, that means he's planning something way bigger than we thought. This isn't just about stopping one villain. This is about preventing the total collapse of the multiverse. And if Doom succeeds in Doomsday, Secret Wars is going to be absolutely insane. We're talking about a reality where Doom is God, the Avengers are scattered across broken timelines, and the only way to fix everything is to overthrow him and rebuild existence from scratch. That's the endgame. That's what this has all been building toward, and I cannot wait to see how it plays out.